right, one. I would like to welcome everybody today. I am President Irene Cepeda, and I would like to call this regular board meeting of March 22nd to order. At the time is 5:08. Just a quick reminder to please silence your electronic devices. We will start with our opening items, and we'll have the flag salute. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Valley High School ROTC. We have Israel Plasencia, Alazai Nejuela, Mirela Macias, and Naizet Garcia. And they are led by Instructor Sergeant Major Gary Giddens. So we will I'm looking for someone to adopt the agenda. Trustee Ford.
Madam President, members of the board, I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Trustee Guzman.
I'd like to second.
All right, trustees, we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented by Trustee Ford and a second by Trustee Guzman. Please cast your vote. Perfect. That passes 7-0. Thank you, trustees. We are moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. Public comment on non-agenda items. Should a member of the public wish to speak on matters within the jurisdiction of the board not listed as action items on the agenda, they may speak during public comment period on non-agenda items. Speakers will be given 2 minutes to address the board. During this time, public comment during this agenda item shall not exceed 20 minutes. If there are still members of the public wishing to address the board after the allotted 20 minutes, they will be able to address the board. During 6.01, public comment on non-agenda items. The public should be aware that the board is unable to deliberate or take action on items raised during the public comment period on non-agenda items. I do believe we have a couple students in the student section. So we'll start with Ms. Desiree Rodriguez. Please come up. Whenever you're ready.
All right. It takes a lot of courage to be yourself. That's what my pen says right here. Often we're afraid to stand and speak out about struggles and experiences, ones that impact us. We're afraid because we want to be accepted by others and by ourselves, most importantly. You all hold leadership positions, but what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Why do you represent thousands of students and families? I hold a few leadership positions as well, and I do what I do because I want to support others and make a difference in my community. I have the courage to be myself, and I challenge you to be yourself and discover your own why. As always, I support police-free schools, and a few days ago, a student at Shadow Ridge High School was forcefully shoved down, causing him to bleed. There was no communication within the situation, and I want to mention that what we have here on the board, when you grow, we all grow. Am I growing? Are we growing? Are you growing? Is our district growing? Because as I look around, I don't see that. And I don't see members of the board growing as well. So last week I was really disappointed to see that you passed the item to give the funding to police officers in schools when there are so many bald spots almost, so many areas where we question what is going on, what's going on with our test scores, what's going on with our mental health. We're turning down teachers who are underqualified, but we're allowing police officers with weeks of training. With this funding, are we including more training? Are we including psychological training? Are we including courses? Are we including a 12-year master's and PhD program? Because that's what it takes to be a psychologist. I'm just asking you, as I soon step away from high school and graduate, go to college, I really hope to see change in this district, and I hope to see your hearts turn around and ask what it is that the students want. And look at their faces when you see them in that video I sent you of the students being pepper sprayed at Canyon Springs High School. Look at their faces and ask, is this what's allowing them to grow, and are we growing? Thank you.
Any other students in the student section that would like to make some public comment? No pressure. If not, then we will move on to our folks who called in ahead of time. We have Ms. Marie Nisis this morning here. Then Ms. Autumn Tampa. Then we'll have Ms. Angela Mobley, Ms. James Bayless, and Heather Bayless. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Tampa.
Autumn Tampa, speaking as an individual. Let's talk about social emotional well-being and look at the children as if they were children. Right now, we want children to march like soldiers, be quiet no matter what, and take on adult responsibilities. This heavy load and restrictive attitude on the part of principals, teachers, and other education staff only hurts the well-being of children. Children are not soldiers who should march silently in unison, and they are not adults ready to be out on their own. The heavy load of adult responsibility should be on adults, not the children. Good behavior does not mean not talking. Communicating is essential for learning. It is also essential in order to develop emotionally and mentally, to grow socially, in maturity, and learn academically. Let children talk. Next, many education support professionals are upset about the bus drivers getting such a big raise when other support professionals who work directly all day with children are not getting this type of pay increase. This is totally unfair, inequitable, and adds to the negative working environment and the climate for staff and students at CCSD. That brings us to the extreme staff and substitute shortages. There were over 1,400 listed open teaching positions as of March 18th, and about 500 support staff positions, mostly for specialized program teacher assistants. You need to reinstate the Title I Range 4 positions and pay all levels, raise all pay levels up by 10% or more. There's also an extreme issue with not enough substitutes, both substitute teachers and substitute support staff. You need to give substitutes who work 4 to 5 days a week health care benefits and at least 3 sick days per year. Unless you make real and substantial changes, you will have a catastrophe on your hands for next year, and the children will suffer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tampa. Is Ms. Angela Mobley here? After Ms. Mobley, we'll have James Bayless. I think I mispronounced his name, Ian Bayless, and then Ms. Amanda Ramos. Ms. Mobley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Mobley, and I am a teacher librarian at Marvin Sedway Middle School. I have been a teacher in Clark County School District for 28 years. This is my first time in 28 years coming before the board. I have had a good run in Clark County. I am here to voice my concerns about the safety issues at Marvin Sedway Middle School. On September the 3rd, 2021, a man was found shot and killed in his car right across the street from the school. We were not notified of this. No hard lockdown, none of that. Students are being bullied. They're running through the hallways. They're just breaking out of the doors, dancing on tables, not attending class. No one's doing anything about this. Okay, we had the day that we lost a student due to a drug overdose, the teachers informed the staff, the administration, about what was going on. They told them that the children were acting strange and out of normal. They tried to put one on the school bus throwing up. They never called parents, never called for the nurse, never called for school police. 2 children had to be resuscitated at the end of the day on the field because they were allowed to stay in school all day long. The child that passed away, nothing. And there is something to reverse the effects of fentanyl, okay? So they did not use it, they did not listen to the teachers, and this has been a growing habit at the school. As a result of me letting them know that I am coming to speak with you, I have been harassed and retaliated against. The principal came to me today after trying to convince me to not come to you, and she informed me that I will not be able to return to a school that I love.
Mr. Bayless?
Since Ian will not be here and there is actually 3 agendas attached to us, permission to speak for me and him both.
Sorry, you have your 2 minutes.
Ian's not here, so can't I take his?
No, it does not work that way, sir.
So I have 3 agendas, but I only have 2 minutes to speak.
So you're currently on non-agenda, so if you are signed up for another piece of another
If you look at
agenda item-
2.9, you'll see my behavioral. Because you got to remember, this is a 5 years back that man's ignored.
Mr. Bayless,
Yeah, I'll point at him directly because I don't give a damn. Because that man is directly, my kid had a footprint on his face and everything, and they have directly ignored him. He has been sexually assaulted. They directly ignore him. You got Jason, these guys, and Fred. I've got 5 different reports that they basically dropped. Basic, Foothill, Fremont, and Foothill. And Basic. All of those staffs have neglected child endangerment, medical neglect. They've ignored medical, legal, and documents. Ignored the IEP with a one-on-one. He has bus to bus, Basic high school. He got jumped by 7+ kids. Managed to be able to walk off campus. But yet, these guys said it's not responsibility, not walk off campus. Even though they have a door-to-door. Door-to-door means he goes to school. 6:42, he got off that bus, but no one takes responsibility. The past 5 years, I've been going around with his email, but he don't know how to reply back. But he knows how to look on the camera and say we care. But I haven't seen that. My son hasn't seen that. We sure the fuck haven't felt it. Sorry, I apologize. And as far as Miss Linda, I understand you got the packet that was supposed to be taken care of that didn't get taken care of. Because when I wrote Jara's ethics report before he bribed you guys to get his job back, I was told that you got it. So obviously and that's why you got an ethics report, because you both got one. So either one of you 2 that didn't ignore it is fine. And Ms. Guzman, Mr. Reese don't do nothing. I've talked to him 3 times and we haven't went nowhere. So again, going round and round at this board, talking to these guys, what's the point? When parents are up here speaking and talking about crimes, if you witness or see a crime, you're supposed to react, not just sit there and, oh, what happened? Because again, you guys have educations, PhDs, but where's the brains? You guys have schools, basic, 87 fights in 7 months, 377 weapons taken off that campus. My kid hasn't been in school since January 10th. If he'd have been there the 28th, he would have been right in the middle of that riot that happened. I have the videos. He would have been right in the middle of that riot. He would have got shit stomped again.
Thank you, Mr. Bayless. That was 2 minutes. Ms. Amanda Ramos? After Amanda Ramos, we have Lisa McKay, Jalissa Oberle, and Cherish Morgan.
Hello, I'm here to speak on behalf of my daughter. On February 10, 2022, my daughter informed me that she was involved in a physical altercation with a student at school. My daughter informed me she was choked and touched inappropriately. It was unprovoked altercation, and the incident was reported to school authorities and that they were aware of the incident. My daughter reported to me that this male student was still attending school. She knows that this student also touched inappropriately and choked other female students. I reported this incident to the superintendent and the principal, as well as the assistant principal, and I was informed that there was nothing that could be done about this incident. My daughter tells me that she doesn't want to attend school with the student because she feels unsafe knowing that this could happen again. This is unfair for my daughter to not afford the same level of protection to attend school in a safe environment. My daughter should not have to change schools and feel safe and free of any assault in school settings. At what cost will it take to protect my child? A grand slogan is no child left behind, but mine is being left behind. Unfortunately, the child's had a chance, but he ruined it. It's a magnet school. My daughter applied to be there, and she got in. And now she has to attend school with the same kid and be afraid to go to school every day. How could CCSD protect him but not my daughter? I am speaking as a parent, and I speak from the heart. Thank you.
Lisa McKay?
Good evening. My name is Lisa McKay. I'm a mother of 5 and former CCSD high school teacher. I would like to acknowledge the work this board does. Creating solution for a district as large as CCSD is challenging, and I recognize that there are rarely simple answers. I'm here to express my dismay at the way Policy 5112, the COSA policy, is being implemented. Specifically, the rush to deny all zone variances to my children's elementary school. COSA divides my 3 children into 2 different schools, and I'm not alone. COSA will affect over 19,000 children. We all want CCSD to be a family-friendly community. However, COSA is not family-friendly. I realize that allowing siblings to remain together may slow the solutions COSA provides to overcrowding. However, within 2 to 3 years, this problem would resolve itself as children graduate and move on. Keeping siblings together might cost a portable, but it is the right thing to do for families. Mental and emotional health are buzzwords in education today, yet COSA seems deaf to these needs. COSA will require kids who have survived 2 years of COVID-19 upheaval to uproot themselves again and start over. I acknowledge the stance that it may be unfair to families who have been making other arrangements to change things now. However, I must disagree. Families like mine have been given no choice but to make other arrangements. Wouldn't it be more fair to give us a choice? Families have been petitioning since COSA was announced, and Tiffany Lane did a story for News 3 in January. Yet this problem remains. Even the magnet program, which COSA imitates, considers siblings, yet COSA does not. I implore you to adjust the implementation of Policy 5112. Family and student needs must come first, and it is never too late to do the right thing. Thank you for your continued efforts.
Jalissa Oberle. After Ms. Oberle, we'll have Cherish Morgan and then Mr. Walter Jones III.
Hi, my name is Jalissa Oberle. I'm a student at Desert Oasis School, a place I've gone to since I was as young as 4, a place where I've been able to learn, a place where I've made some of my first friends, a place where my teachers have looked after me, a place where I've always felt safe. School is a place where I knew I was surrounded by adults I could trust, a place where I knew I would be kept safe. I used to believe this idea that my school was safe, or that the unthinkable could never happen to me. Yes, we practice hard lockdowns in school, but it could never happen to me. Not my school, not my friends, not my classmates. My school is safe. This place is safe. Safe is no longer a word I would use to describe this place. As I heard the words lockdown in progress being repeated by the man over the intercom, the sirens blaring out of the speakers, I thought to myself, this couldn't have happened to me. As I watched my peers run to the lunchroom, followed by the admin and my teachers, as I watched the metal door slam shut in the cafeteria, this couldn't happen to me. My school is safe. They promised me I would be safe. The idea that this can happen to me, the idea that this can happen to our district, our students, our schools, allows us to remain distant from the problem we're currently facing. Safe is no longer a word we can use to describe our schools. Why should I be filled with fear every time I hear the crackle of the intercom, hoping I won't ever have to hear the words lockdown in progress again? Why should I have to text my parents I love them from underneath the desk? Why should we have to comfort each other in the darkness of closets, the floors of classrooms, the corners of lunchrooms? I don't want to spend every day living in fear in a place that was meant to feel safe. How can we continue on pretending our school is safe? As students, as adults, as teachers, as administrators, as officials, as police officers, I'm asking you to make safe a word I can use to describe my school. As the board, as adults, as people I've trusted, I'm asking you to make a change in order to allow our schools to be safe. How many lockdowns do our schools need to undergo in order for them to be changed? Let this be an opportunity for us to bring change to our schools before the unthinkable, the idea that it couldn't be our schools, our district, our students, happen to us. Thank you.
Student providing public comment, you could always come be first on our list here. Ms. Cherish Morgan,
That's me.
whenever you're ready.
Sorry, I'm crying from Jaleesa's comments. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my concerns. I'm a Desert Oasis parent. While Dio has always been in the spotlight for the last few weeks now, the issues we are experiencing are not specific to Dio. This entire district has had fights, lockdowns, disruptive behavior all year. We have all agreed for quite some time now that this year is new and causes previously unseen challenges for students, parents, teachers, administrators, and the district. Issues identified in September, October, November, issues I thought as a parent were being ignored at the school level, but after diving in head first in the last few weeks, it's become quite clear that the administration's hands have been tied, not because there isn't a system in place to resolve violence at schools, but because the laws can't be implemented at the school level due to a lack of training, support, and implementation at the district level. Your restorative justice model looks great on paper, but it isn't working because teachers and principals have constantly been met with resistance and pushback by CCSD. I send my student to Desert Oasis High School every day because I trust her principal and her teachers and the staff to do their jobs to keep her safe and giving her the education that she deserves to allow her to grow up to be a productive member of society. Part of this trust comes with the understanding that my child is kept safe at this school because the school is going to follow the code of conduct and the restorative justice models as told to us at the beginning of each year. Imagine my surprise when I found out that CCSD overturns expulsions of violent repeat offenders and that CCSD expects principals to allow students who fight and hurt other students to return to school the following day, business as usual. If CCSD would follow its own laws and guidelines, we would not be in this news for the horrible things that they've been in the news for. We would be in the news for the awesome things that Dio has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Mr. Walter Jones III. Mr. Jones is not here. Ryan Rummel.
All right, Ryan Fremmels for the record. Two things here. So let me be frank here. The school year has been horrible. The mental impact that the school year has had on teachers, administrators, students, and support professionals, we've all felt the burden of this post-COVID environment. We see the increase in violence that people have talked about, the more mental health issues. We lack the services. My school lost our social worker. We haven't gotten one back. Many schools are lucky if they have one that they share with schools. And we just have a sense that people do not care. But let me tell you tonight that I've seen many educators talk privately and publicly about how much they have broken down this year. I've seen teachers go out on leave because of mental breakdowns. I've seen some of the strongest people that I know break down physically and mentally from the stress of getting kids back on track and dealing with the pressures of getting back to normal, what CCSD deems to be normal. And the everyday pressures of the job and life. Let me be honest, I was one of those. I had such a breakdown that I contemplated suicide at some point this year. The stress that you all put on teachers is alarming, and we are leaving in droves because you do not care about us. Show empathy to us. I know 5 people at my school that are going to quit the district at the end of this school year. Great teachers, hardworking, sympathetic teachers that the kids like, and they're going to leave the district because you do not care about them. Show empathy. Show the kids can see that you don't care about us. They see it on our expressions when we tell them that we can't have discipline, that we can't enforce order. They see the fights on Instagram. Hell, there's Instagram channels from most schools showing the fights that are going on in this school district. Please, begging you, show some backbone and fix this mess before we run out of teachers. It is too late.
We are at 20 minutes. We'll go ahead and do another 10. We got, I think, get through our list.
Miss Victoria Mulholland, and apologies for the mispronouncing.
My name is Victoria Mulehausen. I am a proud mother of 6 kids, 3 of which are juniors at Desert Oasis High School. Their older brother graduated during the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, and they will be lucky to walk with their friends each other next year. Lucky is a strong word right now because it seems that we are tossing a coin to see what each day brings. Is it going to be a good day or at school or a bad one? Sadly, Desert Oasis has turned into a breeding ground for anxiety and uncertainty. My children are genuinely frightened about what awaits them each day. A school should be a safe place. It should be a place where new ideas are sparked and kids are able to be their true, authentic selves, where they try to figure out what their next steps are in life. Lately, it has been a war zone, and the adults in charge do not know how to handle it. Administrators are given guidelines with no true tools on how to enforce them. Teachers are not even given a clear answer as to what to do if a fight breaks out in my class. We need to do better. You need to do better. Our students have enough going on in their lives. They should not have to solve the problems that are created from a few bad seeds. The disruptive students that are making it hard to stay focused in school because they are too busy fighting with one another should be removed from the school. Those students should be given an outlet to fix their issues, but not at the expense of students who are wanting to learn and enjoy the walls of the school that their friends attend. I want my kids to be able to enjoy the last year of high school that they have because adulting is hard. And I want them to enjoy being kids for as long as they can. The restorative discipline plan needs to be properly vetted and properly taught to our teachers. It needs to be something that is used to organize the chaos that has plagued our schools for far too long. And honestly, if it doesn't work, it needs to be reworked. Our children deserve better.
We'll have Ms. Diana Batista, Michael John, and Diane Lelucci.
So I actually had something else planned, but I do want to touch really quickly because I know that Desert Oasis High School is come up. So my son goes there. I was there for the night of the parent meeting, and I was privileged to have Dr. Walls and Jay Shante Marshall actually present, and I just thought that they had some wonderful ideas and some wonderful resources that were really helpful. I followed up multiple times. I certainly reached out to administration and unfortunately have not heard back. But, you know, we as a community, we understand that these kids are our responsibility. And I just think that there are a lot of wonderful people out there that really want to do the right thing and really turn this around. And I think that we have the resources that are available. And I just would really like to see our administration reach out to them. I think that Dr. Walls and Jay Shante Marshall are wonderful resources. I certainly would love to help. I've offered to go there and do whatever I can do, in addition to that. So I just wanted to add that really quickly. What I do want to talk about is actually something completely different. In addition to that, so I have serious concerns with HS 162 form. Our students are entitled to a free and appropriate public education, which includes medical supports and services, other health impairments, and additional supports as needed. However, on your HS 162 forms, you feel if a student is unable to swallow, is unconscious, or seizing due to a low blood sugar, you call 911, place the student in a sideline position so they don't choke on their vomit, and maybe a qualified trained person will administer life-saving glucagon if available. If not available, we let your children die. I find this appalling and alarming. Thank you for at least ensuring that I have this in writing. This form, interestingly, came out the same month and year that you were ordered to provide glucagon and a trained person to administer this life-saving medication to my son. And your attorneys failed to appeal the order within the 30-day timeline afforded to you if you disagreed with the order. And therefore, despite multiple nursing statements, the supremacy clause now applies and CCSD is refusing to comply with the medication order. Again, thank you for ensuring our students and families, and the negligence is in writing. I will provide a copy.
Thank you, Ms. Batista. Michael John?
Hi, Michael Jan. I teach government and economics at Centennial High School, and I'm the proud father of a sophomore at Centennial High School. I want to talk to you about this so-called grading reform you forced upon us at the beginning of the school year. Just for the public, a little brief review. Part one is retake on test, which I can do that because I believe in giving kids second chances. Second is this minimum 50 nonsense that they get 50% for doing absolutely nothing. 50 is the new zero. But the worst part of it is the fact that there are no due dates, no deadlines. They can turn in work whenever they feel like it. They're teenagers, folks. If you give them the opportunity, they will procrastinate. And what this has done is essentially undermined your entire reform system. Because the purpose of it is for me to give them formative work that they then return to me. I can grade, I can see, are they understanding these concepts? Are they understanding what I'm teaching them? Are they ready for the summative test? What happens is, I give them assignments, they don't do them. I give them assignments, they don't do them. Then they realize, oh, the end of the quarter's coming up. I have to dump all of this stuff on Mr. Jan at the last day or two. When I've already given the summative assignment, because these quarter deadlines, I have to have at least one test in the quarter to see if they've learned anything. And of course, I couldn't tell if they learned anything yet because the formative assignments I gave them, they don't do until the very last moment. What kind of nonsense is this? What are you preparing our children for in the real world? Can I go to work and just tell you, hey, I'm going to do half of my job whenever I feel like it. Deal with it. Is that what I mean, I know that's what the super does, but can we do that?
Hi, my name is Diane Ilucci. I'm a Desert Oasis parent and also a special education teacher with CCSD. I'm here to speak about the uptick in violence at our school. Parents are fed up with the continuous violence on our campus, which never seems to be addressed and continues to escalate. This is a district-wide problem, but we have all chosen to hold you accountable for making our schools safe and will continue to do so until changes are made. Discipline in schools is more than just lacking, it's almost non-existent. Everyone is done with constant discussions and no actions. I agree with Trustee Ford's statement at the last board meeting, which was, what can be done now? Maybe we could use Desert Oasis as a pilot school for a program such as Dads in Schools. I assume they all have background checks, and this is a program that could be implemented quickly. We are through hearing more discussions will happen without action. We need solutions now. We need to know our children are safe and those who bring weapons on campus are not allowed to return. Discipline procedures must be strengthened as your restorative justice practice is not working. As a teacher, I am trained in all lockdown procedures, and the one at Desert Oasis on March 9th was awful, with a video surfacing showing police reprimanding the students and a teacher in one classroom, stating they need to be quiet, under control, under their desks, and not running around like in a zoo. Many students also ran off campus. I would like to know if all students were accounted for, and did they account for the missing ones who ran? They did not find a weapon that day, but all of a sudden one is found the following week. With the huge staff shortage, are all the substitutes trained properly on how to do student accounting correctly like the licensed teachers? What is their process? Our students are not safe and changes must be made. Something needs to change as of yesterday. It is sad to wonder if I will watch my twins graduate at the MGM this May, or I could possibly be planning their funeral. Thank you for your time.
Alright, so that is it for our public comment period. Anyone who is still left will move on to our second portion of public comment. At the end of our agenda, we are moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Oh, I was skipping ahead. Apologies. Alright, We are going to move on to public comment on non-agenda items. So these are all the 3 points numbers on our agenda. So we will start with Troy Martinez. As I'm calling folks up, if you're on multiple items, feel free to speak. You'll have 2 minutes per item. So we are doing all the consent agenda items. So, Mr. Martinez, I think I only see you on one.
Yes, well, there's 2, but I'll be commenting on one.
Okay, okay.
Tell me when.
Whenever you're ready.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Jara, it's the community's responsibility to partner with educators for safe schools. A teacher or principal with thousands of children under their oversight are not to be expected to be the parent, the police, the paramedic, the pastor, a psychologist, and the peacemaker. Our cities across the nation, including Las Vegas, has seen a spike in alarming events, including violence. This is not unique to Las Vegas, and the violence that we're seeing in our neighborhoods is now going into the schools, and it's not the other way around. Yes, there are needs, and yes, there are challenges, and we did not get here overnight. For our city and school district, facing these challenges is nothing new. However, we've seen a spike since COVID, which none of us could have predicted. In November of 2021, we hosted our friends from Louisiana, the Dads on Duty, who met with our superintendent, CCSD staff, and many community members. We're inspired by their get-it-done attitude and their refusal to play the blame game. Since then, we've worked tirelessly with the staff for months to provide solutions. Since 2018, the superintendent, trustees, and staff have accommodated the community to input parents, leaders, and faith community, specifically the superintendent's school safety committee. We have all agreed there's a need, but yet we're still at a point where we need to institute some of these things. So we thank you for being patient with us as a community, and we choose to boost the morale of the staff and the students. We offer to provide prevention through presence, to promote a safe learning place, and we thank you for that.
I saw that I have you for 3.02 and 3.03. Mr. Martinez, are you okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Ms. Diana Batista?
Okay. How do you get to go down?
Is it all of the 3's consent agenda?
All of them, yeah.
Sure.
So I see you're on multiple, you're maxed out at 10 minutes, so.
No, that's okay. Sorry. Thank you. Diana Batista, for the record, I think I skipped that at the last one. So 3.02, I support the Special Olympics being provided to our students. However, my continued concern is that we can afford to spend $30,000 to fund this, but not properly support or fund special education supports and services for our same special education students. 3.03, I want to ensure that diversity is seen with our dads and school volunteers. I'm recommending that dads and school volunteers go through bias and disability training prior to the volunteer start date. I'm concerned with the tip now recommended to be utilized will put CCSD at risk of FERPA violations, as there's no privacy expectation for students listed in this agreement. As a reminder, you can't waive negligence despite what you put in your contract. I also find it interestingly that you won't let trained RBTs and BCBAs come in to work with their SPED students. So when this is approved, I'm expecting that tomorrow CCSD and Dr. Monaco Cortez send an email to school staff about the same approval for RBTs and BCBAs in schools. And Office of General Counsel draft a similar agreement for RBTs and BCBAs, especially given that you have reduced the size of your links department and are not providing FAPE or equity to our SPED students. 3.05, I am not in support of Nye County students being bused in. Our schools are extremely overcrowded. We have an ongoing school violence issue that is out of control, and we are seeing likely the highest school staffing shortages on record in 2022. In addition, by agreeing to take on students from Nye County, you are opening yourself up to more potential liability and monetary damages. This is harmful and reckless to our staff, students, and community, and for that reason I do not support it. 3.08 and 3.09, I appreciate the relocation expenditures to decrease our staffing shortages. However, our biggest investment should be in retaining our current staff by increasing pay, supporting positive school climate, and significantly improving health care for staff. 3.13, increasing student achievement absolutely should be a priority for our students, so I am requesting that CCSD look into why it is that student Grayson Batista has not received his 140 plus hours of compensatory education still owed, both from this 2019 settlement agreement that your attorney signed off on and the November 2021 impartial hearing officer's order that is due to be fulfilled by November 2022 with no staff assigned except a speech therapist. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Batista. David Gomez? Mr. Gomez. Martin Walker? And Mr. Walker, I have you on just the one item?
Yes, just the one item. Good evening, I'm Martin Walker. I'm here to express my support for implementation of the Dads in Schools program. However, meeting after meeting, we repeatedly hear about occurrences where teachers have been victimized by acts of violence performed by students that go insufficiently addressed. We continuously listen to accounts about students experiencing violence and bullying from fellow students that leave parents frustrated with the outcomes of how their children are treated in the resolution process and by the lack of sufficient consequences for the aggressors. In other schools across the country where this program has been adopted, the presence of dads in hallways is positively interacting with students has proven to be a deterrent to misbehavior. This leads to the reduction of the amount of time students spend in principals' offices, lowers student suspension and expulsion rates, which is in line with superintendent's stated goals, fewer student encounters with police officers, which can result in reduction in the number of our children in the prison pipeline, and most importantly, an increase in the number of our children and educators who feel safe on campus. I too am concerned though in the vetting process that it doesn't mention anything about diversity and sensitivity, so that I think that should be looked at before you finalize and sign that memorandum of agreement. I support the memorandum and I would like to see that final memorandum be open for public consumption before finalization. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Dr. Mark Rivero? After Dr. Rivero, we have Robin Joyce and then Kelly Devereaux.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm here to talk about the Western High School mascot. As one of the oldest Mexican families in Las Vegas, with some of our descent and relatives being of Native American standing, give you a little bit of history. In the 1940s, there was a lot of little Mexican kids and Indian kids that were rounded up, taken to a school called Sherman Indian School in Riverside, California. Their artifacts can be seen in the museum that they have today. It's rather interesting because they want those students back then to assimilate into the American society. Well, over here at Western High School, where I'm also a proud alumni, we're looking at the fact that, what are we missing here? You're in charge of the education and development of our students, and obviously we're having a lot of problems with discipline. As a former educator here in the system, I went to the fire department, retired from that, now I teach for a university. I'm somewhat familiar with these issues, but what you need to look at is we want the diversity and inclusion. If you take the name and the mascot away from Western High School, you're either stripping more of the identity of the Native American and taking that away from them. You are now putting them in a more reserved, secluded area. That needs to stay. If the school district has any initiative, there are federal programs out there that will allow you to put a cultural center, a Native American studies program that goes from dual credit from high school to junior college to the college level, and then the instructors can come back and teach the southwestern area of Native American studies. Everybody talks about how offensive it is. Well, what's really offensive is not being educated. And that's what you, as a board, are going to struggle with in multiple areas. We need to really look at where we're at, where we're going, but the mascot issue needs to stay, and let's educate and not eradicate everybody.
Dr. Rivero, can you state your name for the record?
Dr. Mark A. Rivero.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Robin Joyce. After Robin Joyce, Kelly Deverell.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Robin Joyce. I was born here in Las Vegas. In fact, my mother, Nedra Joyce, her name is on the building of your communications center. I'm also a proud alumnus of Western High School, and I'm here tonight representing more than 5,000 of my fellow alumni. It's our understanding and desire to form a committee of educators, parents, students, and members of the community to determine school mascots, team names, and other school identifiers that will represent schools in a positive manner and be respectful of diverse cultural values, all of which comes from passage of Assembly Bill 88 in 2021. We also understand from subsection 3 of Clark County School District Policy 1101 that schools will be exempted if the Board of Trustees obtains approval from the governing body of a federally recognized Native American tribe to use an existing mascot and name associated with that tribe. Our understanding is that this board has indeed been given copies of correspondence from both the past and current chairman of the Las Vegas Paiute Tribal Council, Benny Sho and Curtis Anderson, clearly stating their approval and acceptance of the warrior name and mascot as associated with Western High School since its inception in 1960. I also have copies that I can enter into the record tonight. The Western alumni represent desire to maintain the warrior name and mascot not only for our school's proud history, but also to honor the culture, the tradition, and heritage of the Paiute tribe and people in southern Nevada. The name and image of the warrior has always been a vital expression of the Native American spirit in protecting the homeland, and it's our passion to preserve it, both for our history as a school as well as for the history of the Las Vegas Paiutes as a proud indigenous people who deserve to have their culture and heritage celebrated. If this board decides not to exempt Western High, I would ask that you appoint at least 2 members of our alumni group as community members of the committee being formed to decide this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce. Kelly Deverell. And again, apologies if I butcher any last names or first names.
No, you got it close. Kelly Deverell, and thank you to the board members and Superintendent Jara. You know, there's a lot of passion involved in both sides of the equation with this, mascot debate. A little bit about me. I'm a 1977 graduate of Western High School, born and raised in Las Vegas. Both my older sisters were born here. They graduated from Western in 1965 and 1967. And to take it even deeper, my father was born here in 1917, but he went to Las Vegas High School. The alumni's concerns is, there's an attempt to take something away from, our neighborhood and something that's been part of our upbringing, and our culture and our heart and soul since we were little kids. I mean, we all went to Twin Lakes or Ruth Fife, and then we went to Brindley or Garside or Hyde Park, and then we all funneled into Western High School, and that's just sacred ground. A handful of us had addressed this in spring of '88 when it was first brought about. We went to an SOT meeting at Western High School, and we even had, Mark Rivero and myself had Lois Darkanian meet us at Western High School. And we sat underneath the statue that she had donated to the school some 20 years earlier. And the statue is still there today, and it would be a shame if anything ever happened to that. At that meeting, we were greeted by the then principal, who told us that she had already taken some steps and did some things, taking some stuff away, assemblies as far as war paint and headdresses and this and that's absolutely fine. We have no problem with that at all. And around the same time, we had the 5,000 signatures and even a survey by the Clark County School District that came out in our favor. So I just, like Robin said, I just wish that anything moving forward, if you could include a couple of the alumni of Western High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devereaux. We're on to yellow cards. Is Anna Binder? I just have you for the one, Ms. Binder.
You got it.
All right.
I'm going to start a new habit here. Anna Binder for the record. I've spent a great deal of this week meeting with Sister Valerie, that you all know, Sister Anderson, Mr. Rodney, and I'm just going to hit this here. Since our last meeting, I very much appreciate the timeliness of the MOA coming back for dads in schools. Thank you very, very much. I agree with a lot of what the community has said, but what we really tried to focus on in our meetings this week was, going back and looking at the data, our 2019 data, over 41% of our students that were suspended were Black. And so as we're discussing the behaviors in schools, they really wanted, they're not here yet, Ronnie will, but they wanted me to highlight that, what's causing the behaviors. Because when we're sending our kids to school, if they're academically, socially, and culturally inequitably serviced, they're being excluded. These elements in a school climate can create the sense of not being valued. From what's going on in the community, we can show that there's been no behavioral modifications, and we continue to perpetuate inequitable disciplinary measures that are not consistent for all students. What we all just have to understand is we all have human rights, and our students need access to those rights now more than ever. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick recess. I think, yeah, we need at least, sorry folks, we just need 5 minutes. We just need 5 minutes. If that's okay. Thank you. We'll be right back. We're adjourning, I promise. We'll be under 5.
I'm sorry.